everybody. Welcome to another episode of Connect with KB. It is so great to have you with us today as we talk about business and education and leadership and all the wonderful things that connect us to each other. My guest today is just a special guy. He has got his hands in on some major economic development projects in the Lansing region, most notably the new McLaren Hospital slated to open here in the next few months. I want to welcome to the podcast Pete Kramer from Kramer Management. Pete, so great to have you with me. We've been trying to do this for a while.
Well, thank you, KB. It's a pleasure to be on. And I just wanted to start out and say congratulations to you and this program and what you're doing for people like me and businesses like mine around the region and around the state. Really, you've always been a great advocate for people that are trying to do their best, and really fun to see you grow and the things that you're doing with this program.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate that. I'm going to make you the president of the Connect with KB fan club.
There you go. Sign me up.
You bet. Tell me the Pete Kramer story.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's always humbling thinking back on how you get to where you are in a day. But the funnest part about me is I'm a Lansing guy. I was born here and went all the way through Lansing public schools, graduated as a Big Red from Sexton. You know a lot of us.
Oh, yeah, I do.
You've been with Tim Damon and JT and Bob Trezise. I mean, it's really fun for me to see so many of the people that I went to school with right here in Lansing have stayed here, have contributed to our city, and it's really something that made us who we are, and really kind of a big part of who we are. Little blue chip, little blue collar, but really went through a nice program in Lansing Public Schools in those 70s and 80s, and that's kind of what made me who I am right here from Lansing. But I didn't always start out wanting to stay in Lansing. You know, I got out of Lansing right after high school and went to West Point and got a mechanical engineering degree from West Point and spent the next 12 years in the Army. And it was really those 12 years that kind of formed me professionally. You learn leadership and integrity and character and, service to your country and nation and a lot of those things that, in those ages from 18 to 30, you really needed that in your development. And so I really enjoyed those next 12 years in the Army, kind of developing those basic, professional skills and interpersonal skills. So that was it. But after 12 years of that, met my wife, future wife, Stephanie, who's right here from Lansing, and, jumping out of airplanes and blowing things up wasn't as fun as it used to be, and we decided to come back home here to Lansing and kind of just completely changed gears, and I got into building things. And so I was really fortunate. I landed at the Kristin company, phenomenal company that's been here in the community for 125 plus years, and I spent the next 12 years learning about construction. And I really had an opportunity to work on transformational projects around our community, projects you'd be familiar with, just things like State of Michigan, Constitution Hall, MISTA headquarters, a personal one that was Michigan Vietnam Memorial Monument, those types of projects, even historic restoration projects like the Accent Fund headquarters and Kristin's home building, athletic facilities at Central Michigan, numerous projects at Michigan State, Native American gaming and hospitality projects. Really spent 12 years on a lot of different kinds of projects, and in 2010 had the opportunity to start my own business. And so kind of funny, as I was thinking through it today, my professional life has been 3 12-year stints. I had 12 years in the Army, 12 years at Kristin, and I've been blessed to be able to be in my business, Kramer Management Group, for the last 12 years. Stephanie and I have stayed here in Lansing. We have 3 fantastic kids, and we're just really fortunate to be here, and we'll talk a little bit about what I'm doing now as we go forward here.
Yeah, Pete, you are such a Lansing guy and have had such a great reputation. And I know this. It takes a lot of courage to step out and to do your own thing and becoming an entrepreneur. And as you kind of started to develop Kramer Management, what was the hardest thing about doing it? What was kind of the challenges or obstacles in the very beginning when you did this? You knew the business, but did you know how to operate a business of your own?
I don't think any of us do.
Right.
You've been through that cycle. Running the business is different than being in a business. I was fortunate. I was a partner and an owner at Kristin, so I had a taste of running the business. But that was a big company, a lot of structure, a lot of people. When you're an entrepreneur, you start your own business. You're the CEO. You're the CFO. You're the human resources director. You're the janitor.
Right.
I thought that was really the most exciting part about it. Was I was learning something new. I'm, probably, I don't even know the age, probably over 42 years old or something like that, and starting something new. But it was just so exciting. I was able to take my relationships that I'd built over time and my expertise, and really just take the opportunity to develop that into a new platform to deliver services to the public that I thought was needed. And so it was just very exciting, and you just meet it with a head-on approach, just like I did when I was in the Army.
You bet. Well, let's talk about the hospital and how you got involved there, and just kind of walk me through that journey again about McLaren.
Well, I've for 8 years now, I've had a relationship with McLaren corporately, where Kramer Management Group, and maybe if I could just tell you a little bit about what we do, it'll help you understand what I'm doing for McLaren. So different than what you might be familiar with in construction companies. You know the Grangers. Glenn Granger's been on this program. You know the Christmans and the Clark family, who's been here forever, the Whelans. Those are fantastic construction management, general contracting companies. They build things. The designers design them. What I found was a big gap in the industry was somebody to represent the owners. And so companies, big institutions, whether it's a Michigan State or Board of Water and Light or folks like McLaren, they don't build stuff all the time. Axifund, they build a project once every so many years. They just don't have the internal resources to really manage those types of projects, and so they have to enter a marketplace that they're not familiar with, and they don't necessarily know how to do that. So Kramer Management Group, we fill that gap. We solely represent the owners and their interests in making sure they know how to deliver their projects, manage the risks of it, both in financial risk, performance risk, quality risk, safety risks, and we put together the right team under the right conditions to best manage their projects. And so that skill set that we have as we built this company made us really appealing to McLaren corporately, because they were embarking at the time on a major capital improvement program for the corporation that exceeded $1 billion. And so over the last 8 years with McLaren, we've helped them lead their way through, I think, close to $1.3 billion worth of projects around the state. So we've managed projects in Port Huron and Petoskey, Macomb, Farmington. We're working in Toledo at a hospital they acquired there. So their new corporate headquarters in Grand Blanc. So through all of these projects, we've honed a project delivery method for them that when they had the Lansing project at $600 million, that was going to be the single largest investment McLaren had made corporately in their entire history. And so they rely on us to be their representative. They trust us, and we've really had a phenomenal relationship with them for these last 8 years.
Well, it's interesting. It's always about relationships. I've seen you and Kirk Ray together. I think that you guys have great synergy together. You work really well. Do you have, when you build a relationship like that and they have multiple projects, do you have to sometimes say no, or do you just generally work with the people that you want to work with? How do you cultivate business, and how do you have the capacity to do it?
Well, I think the nature of our business, just like for McLaren, they're not going to always have $1 billion worth of projects. And so part of the benefit of bringing on somebody like us is we're able to flex up and flex down as their needs adjust. And so for McLaren, for example, when we started, I might have only had 1 or 2 people working on their projects. We may have grown into 15 at a certain time. We might back off to 3 or 4, and so you can come up and down. But it's our job to make sure we have the right resources with the right expertise to bring to any of their projects. And I think that's what's made us successful and beneficial to them, is they only pay, and it only costs them what they need.
Right.
They're not carrying extra overhead. Any business doesn't want to be burdened with overhead expenses that aren't fully utilized.
Right. When will the hospital open right here in Lansing, and how many people actually worked on that project?
Boy.
Was it hard to get talent?
It was. Specifically to the Lansing project, first patients in the main hospital is March 6th.
Okay.
We're actually going to start some of the procedures at the end of this month. We've actually just this week going through all of our health department inspections and things like that give us the license to operate that hospital. There's still some fine tuning and technology and medical equipment and supplies that are being brought into the building right now, but that building is ready to come online here in the next 30 days. Very exciting time. It wasn't easy getting here, KB. I can tell you, never been through, none of us in any of our businesses that you've talked to, nobody's been through what we've been through in the last 2 years.
Right.
We started this project, luckily, at the right time. So we were ahead of the pandemic that we didn't know was coming. We made a lot of our purchases, a lot of the stuff that we were bringing on board was just prior to that. We had to manage completely different procedures for building this thing throughout the pandemic. We incurred portions of time that we were completely shut down. We had portions of time where we would lose crews to COVID. We had portions of time where the whole state was challenged to find skilled trades sufficient to build the project. But I can tell you, we put together an approach, KMG put together an approach on this project that really helped facilitate that, getting the alignment of resources. We had to take a $600 million project and we broke it into pieces. And so we took the main part of the project, and we had 2 great firms, Bart Mallow and Kristin, worked together to design and build the main hospital building, and their main focus was on that. So they had all of their attention on that one facility, knowing that was really critical. Then we had a medical services building and cancer center that was equally important to McLaren, but could potentially be a distraction to resources and competing resources for the hospital. We engaged Granger Construction Company for that project, and we delivered that project as its own standalone project. And so by doing that, we really were able to secure more resources than we might have been able to do just through one company. And that really helped out a lot. We had good partnership with the skilled trades, the Michigan Building Trades Council, Steve Claywell and the team over there. They really stepped up. All the building trades stepped up and did what we needed to do on the project. So it was just a phenomenal partnership all the way through. And I can tell you, we're opening on the same day to the minute that we projected we were going to open before the pandemic started.
That's unbelievable.
It's a miracle.
Really. I mean, when you talk about supply chain and getting equipment in there, it's 850,000 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. A big pat on the back to you.
Thank you.
That just goes to show your leadership and the great team that you have, because you would never have thought that through the pandemic with the disruptions that you could open on time. Just so impressive. Are there any other projects that you're working on in this region or beyond that are comparable in size?
Yeah, we just had the pleasure, when I first started KMG, one of the first big projects I worked on was with the Board of Water and Light for their new Rio Town plant and headquarters project there. That was, at the time, $180 million, was as big of a project as I could ever imagine. Mm-hmm. Okay, 12 years later, we're managing projects in the $600 million. So phenomenal. But Board of Water and Light just recently completed their Delta Energy plant in Delta Township. That's a $500 million project. And so kind of under the radar, it's a phenomenal project that is significantly going to reduce the carbon footprint here in mid-Michigan. That project came on, is online now, producing power under natural gas instead of coal. And it's a great project. So we manage that with the Board of Water and Light. And we're also managing the Ingham County Jail and Court project in Mason. Very nice project, sorely needed. I don't know if you went through any of the visits, the chamber and a lot of folks really were engaged in the process when Ingham County went out for that millage to fund a new jail and court building. Sorely needed, but Sheriff Rigglesworth is just doing a phenomenal job out there, and we have the pleasure of supporting Ingham County in that project.
Well, Pete, you know what? You've had such an impact on Lansing. As you kind of go down this road and you look at your career and what kind of comes next for you? I mean, are there other things that you want to do? From a business owner standpoint, obviously the Board of Water and Light's going to get themselves now into this battery opportunity here in the Lansing region. I hope that that's a part of your plan as well.
I would hope so.
I would hope so too. Little plug for you there with our friends at the Board of Water and Light. But, how do you see this thing going forward? What's Pete Kramer's life like in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think as I grow my business, I think I've scratched every itch I have on building something. I think what's enjoyable to me right now is actually building a company that will survive me, that will continue something on when I'm done grinding it out, and I want to be able to create a great place for the next generation of Petes and folks like me to come into the business and represent business owners who want to develop capital projects. I want to grow my company and be able to have an environment for people to do that very thing. So that's what would excite me, and that's where I'd like to see the company go, is to continue to grow opportunities for people to have a great place to work.
How about your daughter? Does she have some interest in coming on?
She's in nursing.
Oh, she is? Okay,
yeah,
great.
So she kind of has it. She's at St. Mary's down in South Bend, and she's trying to be a nurse. My son Josh is in construction management, so I think he might have the itch for it. So that would be great. And Peter, he wants you to send him his money, and he can be your financial manager. So he's in Chicago with Bank of America now, working on that.
You and Steph have just such a great family, and your brother-in-law, Pat Gillespie, and his family. And, you guys have been just such great supporters of Lansing, and to see and watch your success, Pete, makes me so happy. You are just the real deal, such a nice, good guy. And it does go to show you that good guys can rise to the top, and you have done that. As you kind of think about signing off here with me, how would you kind of project this in terms of advice that you would give to people, or young people who would want to get into, whether it be, management that you're doing or just anything else entrepreneurial?
Boy, I have a spiel. One of my favorite bosses I had when I was in the Army. It's all about leadership and character development, things like that. And he always taught me about competence. And just that competence is a factor of knowledge, skill, discipline, and attitude. And so if you're a young person in the industry, or maybe not so young, maybe you're 50 years old and you say, I want to start something new. Make sure that you're approaching something from the position of strength, and that you can develop competence in, that you have that knowledge in your specific trade. You got the skills to be able to deliver it. You got the right attitude to do it, and then just go do it. If you lay the groundwork through your career or through your younger times to be able to be competent, and you take a chance to do it, you're going to be successful.
For sure. And you are successful, Pete. And I so appreciate your friendship, and I appreciate you coming out with me today. My guest today has been Pete Kramer. He's the owner and CEO of Kramer Management. I also want to thank my supporting sponsors, Marketing Resource Group, Dowding Industries, Governmental Consultant Services, AF Group, AT&T, Public Affairs Associates, Mercantile Bank, and the Michigan Chamber of Commerce. You can listen to all my podcasts at connectwithkb.com. Until we connect again, go live your best life. I'm your host, Kristin Belzer.